Offside. Out of bounds. Welcome to Offside and Out of Bounds. I am at Offside Junior, and thank you for joining us from Spotify, Apple, or the podcast platform of your choice. Today, we are bringing you installment number 2 of our 2021 MLB season preview show, starting off today with the American League Central. And we will continue to preview a division a day leading up to our live show on our YouTube channel, which is at Offside and Out of Bounds, which will take place live at 9 p.m. on March 31st, where you can join myself and my partner in crime at Offside, Adam, where we will break down the league, talk about who we like, who we don't, and our picks for the division and eventual World Series champ. So for the format for the next 6 days, we're going to get into each division and each team. We're going to break down the team, who they added, who they lost, our concerns for the team, where things can go wrong, what they need to do to stay competitive, who we're excited to see, who we aren't, and where we think they're going to finish. Let's go!
Oh, it's the Minnesota Twins, eh?
The Minnesota Twins, 36-24, and they lost in the AL wild card to the Astros. Now to break down this team, the Twins are sitting at number 7 in the preseason power rankings currently, and they are returning mostly with the entire team intact. They have added Anderson Simmons, starter Jay Happ, starter Matt Shoemaker, and closer Alex Colomé, as well as re-signing fan favorite Nelson Cruz. Now, they did lose Marwin Gonzalez, Jake Odorizzi, Sergio Romero, Tyler Clippard, and Trevor May. Our concerns with the Twins is that they pretty much overhauled the pitching staff outside the starters this year. There's still a lot of unknowns. Clearly the bullpen is the biggest concern in the Twin Cities, as there are a lot of ifs and buts. But Colomé is a good addition. Robles another good addition. But outside the top 4 arms in there's a lot of uncertainty in that middle to long. And if teams can chase the starter, which is what every team tries to do, they're going to be able to maximize their offense off that middle and long relief, making those top 4 arms absolutely null and void. Where things can go wrong. Now, the Twins are not a fast team. In fact, they're one of the slowest. And when the bringer of rain isn't bringing rain and some of the others aren't going off, they're going to need speed to play that small ball. Now, Buxton and Kepler do offer that, but there's still 6 other guys on the field that are either turtles or move at glacial speeds. And you can't count on veteran pitchers for much. Regression is obviously in these elder statesmen can happen and can trip up a team. And they do have a streaky offense. And when things go quiet, you can start to hear that crazy lady that lives at South 9th Street and Chicago Avenue that screams at the Canadians and carries her potted plant around. Now, what they need to do to stay competitive, they're going to need a max effort from the starters to make certain that they are handing over the game to the bullpen, but at the end of the bullpen and not the beginning of it. And their offense is going to have to stay consistent, and they're going to need to learn how to play small ball in order to keep that offense consistent. Because if they aren't keeping it consistent, they're going to get run out of the park night in and night out by a few teams coming in there. Who we're excited to watch? Quite possibly is last year. I'm looking for a swan song from Nelson Cruz. Over the next couple of years, we're going to start losing a lot of these guys that have had great longevity in the game as they start to retire, and Cruz is definitely one of them. He's bounced around a lot, but it seems like he's really settled in Minnesota. Hopefully if this is his last year, he's going to go out with a bang. And outside of him, the other one I am looking for is their top pitching prospect, Randy Dobnak, as well as Duffy. Those are 2 guys that are definitely going to make some noise. Who we aren't excited to watch. I have to say that there isn't anyone on this roster that I don't like. So it's going to be kind of tough here. But let's say for painful reasons, I'm going to say Josh Donaldson. His time with the Jays was short, memorable, and ended catastrophically. And it's a constant reminder of the Jays' run from 14 to 16 where they were almost unbeatable. Where we think they're going to finish. I think the Twins are going to finish near the top of the division. There are a few teams that seem to be set for a pretty big regression here, which is going to leave things wide open for them. And I do see them competing for the division crown. I'm liking them in the high 80s, low 90s for win total.
It's the Chicago White Sox, eh?
The Chicago White Sox, 35-25, and lost a heartbreaker in the AL wild card to the A's. Now, breaking down this team, they are currently sitting at number 5 in the power rankings. And I think that has a lot to do with a lot of the young talent this team has, as well as those top 3 starters. Now, who they added this season? They brought in Adam Eaton, Liam Hendriks, and Billy Hamilton. So a couple of outfielders and a closer. Who they lost was Steve Cishek, Alex Colon, James McCann, Gerard Dyson, Edwin Encarnacion, and Clayton Richard. So a lot of arms and a couple role player guys. Now, our concerns with this team depth is going to be an issue. And figuring out some quality to put behind starter Giolito, Keuchel, and Lynn is going to be something they got to figure out really quickly. Especially with the issues that Michael Kopech has been having as of late, and the fact that he will be starting off in the bullpen does add some sense of stability to that bullpen, but that bullpen is still going to be the biggest issue for this team, where things can go wrong. Tony La Russa is going to need to get this clubhouse in line, and he's going to need to change his style of managing a little bit in order to make Chicago a fun place to play. If they're winning, I'm sure that's going to ease the burden a little bit. But if things get contentious, I see the team folding and not wanting to play for the dinosaur that La Russa is. Now, the flip of Colon to Hendriks coming in could be a potential issue as well. Hendriks has seen some success, but that's just as of late. As Jays fans do remember him, he can regress just as much as he can improve. What they need to do to stay competitive. They are a couple of pieces away from making a deep run, and by all means, this can be a championship contending team. But in order for them to walk away with the Central and get clear, the one thing they're really going to need is this youth to lead by example. That being Luis Robert, Nick Madrigal, and then they're going to need Tim Anderson and Moncada to kind of step up and lead the way as well. Who we're excited to watch? Well, obviously, the definite excitement is surrounded about this Luis Robert kid, because he's going to try and follow up a very promising short but promising rookie season where he won a Gold Glove and almost overtook the Rookie of the Year honors. But to see what he's going to have in that next level, it's definitely going to be interesting. So I'm definitely excited to see what Luis Robert is going to bring in his second year. Who we aren't excited to watch. This is cringeworthy for me. I'm not excited to see Liam Hendriks come in as a closer for this team because of the importance of this position. Not because he's a bad guy, but he if he doesn't come in with that shut him down stuff, they're going to have no protection in that bullpen, and it's going to be a tough year where they're going to end up having to trade several pieces just to get a halfway decent closer. It's probably going to be the task in hand. And when you're coming down to the deadline, closers are not cheap, and you're going to end up losing a lot of your draft capital or your prospect capital. Where we think they're going to finish. I think the Sox are going to be right there with the Twins, high 80s in the win totals. And I definitely see them competing and taking this crown, because there's just too much good going on right now that's going to stop them from doing that, unless, Tony La Russa kind of trips them up, which it's always a possibility. The Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians were 35-25 last year and lost in the AL wild card to the Yankees, managed by Tito Francona. Breaking down this team, they currently are sitting in that 13 to 15 range on many preseason power rankings. Personally, I do have them a bit higher at 18, as there are a lot of ifs. Now, who they added? They brought in Ahmad Rosario and Andre Jimenez, which came across in the Lindor trade. Cesar Hernandez and Eddie Rosario, who's definitely going to give that outfield a shot in the arm that's been needed for quite some time. Who they lost? Francisco Lindor, Delino DeShields, Tyler Nyquin. Obviously that loss in Lindor is going to be huge, as he was that offensive stalwart. Now, our concerns with this team is their pitching staff is going to get overworked. It's going to be a tough job keeping crooked numbers off the board, as the offense on this team, it's not a world beater, and it's going to have a lot of issues scoring runs, where things can go wrong. If one of these starters goes down or one of the bullpen pieces is ineffective, the roof is definitely going to come crumbling down. And it's going to be a lot for Tito Francona to deal with. What they need to do to stay competitive, the pitching staff has to stay healthy and effective. And Jose Ramirez is going to have to carry the load for this team offensively. And as you notice, a common theme is it's all about this pitching staff, because it's one of the few bright spots on the team. Who we're excited to watch. This might be the last year for Chief Wahoo, as the team is set to change its name for obvious reasons and take the path that the Washington football team took. I think if they brought in names like Vaughn and Serrano, it might put a charge into the team, but that's not happening, as I don't think they will be filming another major league. Speaking of the Wild thing, they are going to have to do some work on Tristan McKenzie's slider, as it looks like it's destined for the clubhouse rather than home plate. Who we're excited to watch? Sorry, who we aren't excited to watch? Well, I think the team itself. There's so many things that are right in the middle, and if there is any imbalance and things tip the wrong way and quickly, this thing can get off the rails. And at some point, I don't think it's a smart idea to piss off Jose Ramirez right now. And this has that potential to turn into a Miami situation. Not Miami now, like Miami 5 years ago, where they're going to finish. I'm looking at the Indians to be somewhat competitive in the beginning just because of that starting rotation. But the minute that starting rotation implodes on itself, I'm thinking they're going to end up with a win total probably within the high 70s. Welcome to Kansas City, Missouri. The Kansas City Royals, 26-34 last year and missed the playoffs. Breaking down this team, the team is currently sitting at number 22 in the preseason power rankings. But they were quite busy this offseason. They added Andrew Benintendi, Carlos Santana, Michael Taylor, Mike Minor, Irvin Santana, Wade Davis, Hanser Alberta, Gerard Dyson, re-signed Greg Holland, and extended Salvador Perez, who they lost. Their left fielder and Alex Gordon retired. Ian Kennedy, Matt Reynolds, Matt Harvey, Mike Montgomery. Now, our concern is some of these additions look good, but buyer beware. If you look at the staff as it stands today, it is basically the misfit toys. It seems like Danny Duffy has been trying to be an ace for 10 years. And if it hasn't happened by now, it probably isn't going to. Actually, I think it was more like 5 years, but it might as well be 10. Mike Minor is basically the same guy they got rid of in Matt Harvey, so that move is a little suspicious. As you can see, there are a lot of questions around this pitching staff, and that's going to be the main concern all year. Where this can go wrong. It starts to look like the Royals have been taking a page out of the Oakland A's handbook of trying to find guys on the scrap heap that excel in particular aspects of the game, get them on the cheap, and hope to maximize their output. The only issue is that the K is a place where fly balls and well-hit doubles go to die. With a massive outfield that makes it seem like each outfielder is covering their own personal football field-sized portion, they got to have a lot of speed. Is there speed there? I'm not too sure. What they need is stay competitive. They're going to need a lot from this pitching staff, and the offensive production hangs on the shoulder of four guys in Merrifield, Soler, Santana, and Benintendi. Who are we excited to watch? I'm definitely excited to see how much of an experiment this Andrew Benintendi is in left field. Now, he is coming from a place in Boston where he had the Green Monster as a safety latch. He no longer has that, and it's going to be interesting to see how he handles that. Who we aren't excited to watch. I won't be excited to watch this team if it doesn't take a few steps forward, because if they don't, the Show Me State won't be showing no games. It's tough to live up to the city's expectations when you have the Chiefs to compete with. And I mean, at this point, even the Blues. Where they're going to finish, they're not going to be there. Kansas City Royals, let me show you fourth place and 70 to 75 wins. Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers, the pride of Motor City. Well, not really the pride. 23-35 last year, missed the postseason, and they are managed by trash can banger A.J. Hinch. To break down this team, they currently sit in the 26th spot of the preseason power rankings and boast one of the top farm systems in baseball. So that pretty much sums up the Tigers. See you in 4 to 5 years. Who they added? Jose Urena, Robbie Ross, Derek Holland, Wilson Ramos, Jonathan Schoop. He was a re-sign. Nomar Mazara and Julio Teheran, and re-signed Drew Hutchison. Who they lost? Ivan Nova, Jordan Zimmerman, Jonathan Schoop, who then re-signed, and all chances of winning in 2021. So our concerns. The pitching staff is going to be out of most games, and the bullpen is going to be absolutely worked over. If the offense is non-existent, that maybe check the box score the next day and don't sit through the 3 hours of agonizing pain watching this team. The pitching staff ranked pretty much dead last in the majors with an almost 7 combined ERA. Now, they are going to be bringing up some of the young arms in Skubal, Manning, and Casey Mize, which is nice to see what the Tigers could potentially look like in 3 to 5 years. Where things can go wrong. I think they went wrong the minute they hired A.J. Hinch. What do they need to do to stay competitive? It's not going to be competitive. It won't be a competitive team this year. So what I say, let Miggy have his swan song. Maybe he can get that 500 home run and he can hit that 3,000 hit mark, which would be absolutely phenomenal for his great career. Let the kids get some starts in so they can see what losing like with pride is. They're going to need to have some thick skin for the next few years, so may as well toss them into the fire now. Who we're excited to watch? I think everyone should be penciling in to watch a Tigers game this year. At least one. Okay, maybe half of one. Okay, fast forward and just watch Miggy's at-bats. This is most likely the last year for Miggy. And he's had one heck of a career. So with the ability of him hitting that 500 home run mark this year, as well as the 3,000 hit mark this year, he's definitely going to end up in the Hall of Fame. And we're losing a lot of these guys right now. So it's best to take a look at him now, take it in, because he's going to be gone soon. Who we aren't excited to watch. I think all in all, with this preview of this team, we're not really excited to watch the Tigers at all. It's going to be a messy year for them. There's going to be a lot of growing pains. But like I said, they do have a strong farm system. And in a few years, this team could definitely be transformed into someone who's going to compete for this division. Where I think they're going to end up. I think the Tigers are going to be in the area of 65 to 68 wins this year. But again, looking up from the basement, unless Hinch has some wink plans. The wrap. Okay, projection time. So my projections for this will be a 2-horse race. We're going to have the Twins and the White Sox battling it out for that division crown. I think that the White Sox will come through with it this year. So I've got the White Sox winning the division. I've got the Twins in a potential wild card. Then let's round it off with the Indians, Kansas City Royals, and Detroit Tigers in the basement. Again, we're hoping for a nice season where everyone stays safe and healthy and we can get back to some sense of normal. For everyone at Offside and Out of Bounds, I'm Junior, and this has been your AL Central preview. Please check back tomorrow as we will be previewing the AL West. And again, we will review each division leading up to opening day, where we will also have our MLB preview shows streaming live on YouTube on Wednesday, March 31st at 9 p.m. Check Spotify, iTunes, or your platform of choice at midnight for the audio version of the preview show. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, support local, and see you real soon. Thank you for joining us from Spotify, iTunes, or the podcast platform of your choice.